else being unprofessional. Welcome to Montana. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming out here. Thank you guys so much. As Shay said, I'm David Perdue. This is my friend Don Bean. And this show that we present to you guys tonight is entitled Double Consciousness. Real quick, does anybody have any idea what that means or where that comes from? Anybody? Nobody did homework, huh? You're like, all right. I didn't come here to. And I was like to brief the people on what it is that double consciousness is, if you will.
Sure.
If you want.
Yeah, we did name it that.
Yeah.
Double consciousness is essentially it's a term that was coined by sociologist W.B. Du Bois. Both David and I are come out of the Atlanta University Center, Morehouse College, and W.B. Du Bois did a lot of work there. Sociological term which talks about an individual. There you go. Yeah.
Spelman is the sister school of Miles, and they I don't know where it came from, but they do this to let you know they in the building. And as soon as I heard her say Spelman, I said, if I don't do this, word is gonna get back.
But yes, it's about essentially, in its crudest terms, an individual with an identity split among several facets or whatever. It was coined to talk about African Americans and describe their identity in an oppressive society. And so, what does it have to do with a comedy show or a poetry show? It has to do with the fact that we are going to talk about a lot of various subjects, a lot of various topics. We're going to do it creatively. We hope that you learn something. We hope that you think about some things. But more than anything, we hope that you laugh. Is that a promise?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. So yeah, we hope you laugh and just enjoy yourself. And yeah, I think that's right.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
Yes.
All right, cool. I always like to start, most comedians, they start like a little about me, so I let people know who I am as a person. A little about me. I was actually raised by my grandmother and my mother and my father. Got you, bitch, not statistic. It's very often, sometimes people are like, oh man. Like, it's very surprising to people to find out that like I was entertained, I didn't come from like a struggle. Like I disappoint a lot of my white friends when I find out I had a front and backyard. It's very funny. And like, how did you get so charismatic? You know what I mean? Like, how did this happen? I'm like, I don't know, man, personality. Like, I don't know what to tell people. But no, I'm from Jonesboro, Georgia. Anybody familiar with Jonesboro, Georgia? Yeah? You shouldn't be, if you are. I always try to tell people about Jonesboro. Jonesboro is a transitioning city. And I don't mean like the good transition. You guys know about you guys know about the good transition? You know, the good transition is like, some of what I've heard is like, we're like, I don't know, you chilling outside with your homeboys or whatever, and then like all of a sudden, like you see like a white lady jogging. Like, where the hell you get a white lady from? I've seen one of these before around here, right? You know what I mean? Or like, I don't know, like you chilling out there, and all of a sudden like you got like a Whole Foods showing up. Where Whole Foods come from? You know what I mean? Like that level is happening on Jonesboro. Anybody know anything about Jonesboro? You know, two things we're known for. The main road in Jonesboro is Terra. There's no Terra. Anybody know the significance of Terra? No? Nobody? No history about it? Going to win, exactly. That's one thing that Jonesboro is known for. Terra, I mean, the second thing we're known for. Anybody know the other thing we're known for? Anybody? No? Okay. This is very simple. Sometimes people mess it up. It's meth. It's actually meth. We're known for that, and it's a burden upon my city. So I'm very happy to not be there tonight and be here at Athens, Georgia, hanging out with you guys. What was I gonna say? I don't know. Like I think I'm a smart person. Do I go into that about how smart I am? All right. No, here's how smart I am. Well, this I thought. I guess I'm not. To be honest with you. Once you hear this, you're like, you're not that smart. This how smart I thought I was. I thought I like got away from the government via the draft. Like I thought I was a draft dodger. And like until like recently. Like I didn't know the draft wasn't a thing until 3-ish months ago.
I thought it was like actively going on.
I did. I thought I was very clever. Most of my life, after I turned 18, it's like they have not caught on to me. I'm pretty good at hiding from the government. I don't know what all these people, these men is having problems with. I'm doing very good. And then one day somebody was like, nah, bro, that's not a thing anymore. We didn't have the draft since, what, the 70s? And I was just like, well, back to square one, not smart, gotta get back to comedy. It's not gonna be a brain surgery. Yeah.
Yeah, just give it up for
So you just thought you were like wise and
I did.
private.
I was a very smart, wise person.
I mean, you could be all those things, but there still was not a draft that you were actively avoiding. But that's good though.
And up to 3 months ago, I thought it was very brilliant.
Man, well, I also tend to think of myself as, not terrible when it comes to academics and whatnot, but I paid attention to a lot of words and vocabulary, so I'm going to try to use a lot of those in this next poem that I'm gonna do. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, it goes like this. It's kind of an introduction piece. How many people have been to a spoken word set before? Have seen it before live? Anybody? Handshaking, a few other. Anybody else is your first time seeing like spoken word or poetry or anything like that in a live setting? Yeah, one. Is there another? The doors of the church are open. Anyone else? No? Okay, that's what's up. So anyway, I said that to say because like poetry oftentimes in academic settings gets kind of presented in a very staunch and like rigid, stiff way. This is meant to be interactive. It is meant to connect with you. I hope that what I do and what David does, that it connects with you all. But this is kind of a level setting piece, which is to say that we came simply to empty what is full. We want to scratch where it itches. We want to push when pulled. We want to shake the stagnant and sedate the psychotic. We want to putrefy the fragrant and humanize the robotic. We want to awaken the hypnotic and frolic with the serious. We came to educate, be entertained, and explain to the curious. Be angry, sin not, listen a lot, slow to wrath. We are 50% familiar, meaning you do not even know the half. That is to say that everywhere my flat feet touch on God's green earth, I try to carry with me the essence of mirth, the scent of praise, the aroma of all, the unmitigated gall to be in wonder of it all. These summer days are dull. They are hot as juvenile records. That is to say 400 degrees in winter, no exception. Seasons of life, be it blight or blessing, they serve as a tool to teach me and you contentment. Elder or adolescent, life can have you stressing. So I try to keep my peace like Second Amendments. Whether I have been laid off or I'm like Bernie Madoff paid off, I wear the whole week. I never take a day off. Cast every weight off. Anything can happen. Facing feast or famine, can you still keep it jamming? Penniless or platinum, this is something to respect. When the microphone check, tell the dealer cut the deck. Yet the sun is going to do what it's going to do. That is with or without you. So if you have been told what you'll never amount to, then this verse that I now do, though less of a how to, it is designed to leave you better than you were when it found you. The ground is cruel, so that these poems serve as hoverboards. You do not have to touch the floor. Strum a couple chords, a 3-minute respite, by which I am a sucker for simile, synecdoche, sample, meter, and metaphor. From the page to the stage, this undulating poem, who knew that I would be doing a hobby for this long? I mean, like 20 years rapping, 10 semi-professionally, just now feel as though I'm starting to do it correctly. The name is Adon Draper, the madman of the patent pen. I am trapped within these bars like far too many black men, and me and my rap friends attack the drum. I'm in the John Wilkes booth with an assassin's tongue, yet enamored as they come, I was flattered by the drum. You know, the kick and the snare that was her lips and her hair. I stared when I was young because my chatter then was dumb, but the grip of her glare would transfix me in a chair, and I would sit there for hours. I would listen to the power of a bass line, waistline. It makes time hours. And I was just a coward, you know, sweaty palms and all. I didn't know what I wanted to say. I just knew I wanted involved. So I mustered up the gall to mic check her temperature. I asked her name. She gave me a time signature. I was an extra virgin, you know, olive oil and vinegar, inexperienced in the mix, but still I rendered her speechless. You see, this license is mechanical. Here I am kissing the clavicle of a MIDI-compatible damsel who flirts with the eloquent, rhythmic, and reverent. You are in a new era. My name's Adon of the remnant set against the decor of a candlelight dinner. Picture 2 record plates, a crate, and a mixer. Whisper sweet nothings to break beat percussion. This is not rap or courtship. It is coupling, couplets, dubstep, unchecked passion, white-hot attraction the size of Grand Canyon. She is my Helen of Troy with incredible poise. You can yell at your boy with indelible noise, but I don't beat around the bush when I see the meat around her tush. It leads me then to look for some singing and a hook. Flow like a streaming brook, she's my goddess perfection. I do not make music, I don't make rap, I don't even make poetry. What I make is a connection. Thank you.
Yeah, so about traffic. How hard it is to do this? Terrible. This was my idea too. That's what makes it worse. This is my idea. I was like, no, let's come together and join forces, grow creativity mind. And then I was like, oh wait, no, he's really good at what he does. Can't set myself up for the. No, I do want to talk about traffic if I would. No. Traffic teaches you a lot about life. It teaches you a lot about life. And here's what it is. You ever be in traffic and you just first of all, your imagination starts to go. Not, and like in a good way, like you start being inventive, like, I can make a flying car. Anybody else? Anybody else have that when you just in traffic? Like, no, I can, if the Wright brothers can build a, they have tools that I got. They do it without the internet. Like, you start believing in yourself too much, but also, like, what traffic does, it does this thing where, like, like you'll be in traffic and you learn about life from watching traffic, like just being in traffic. This is all I learned about life from being in traffic. You ever been in traffic and this upset anybody else when you're in traffic and you can't, no one around you go anywhere. Then all of a sudden, like, you just start hearing this buzzing, like, zzz, right? And all of a sudden it's a motorcycle that's like, fuck traffic. I don't have to deal with those rules, I do what I want. And that's when you start realizing that, like, we're all not created equally. You know what I mean? Everybody got different rules. There are different rules for different people. You start realizing some people are car people. Most of us are car people. But the 1%, they are for sure motorcycle people. You start getting mad at motorcycle people all the time. That's a very weird analogy, but I hope you like got it. You know what I mean? All right.
There's another name for motorcycle people.
What's that?
Dead people often. It doesn't end well a lot of times. Sometimes, you know. But I will say, how many? Anybody? You were talking about the draft. Anybody serving the armed forces? Any veterans of one? That's what's up.
Okay.
Round of applause for this gentleman here. There you go. Sir, how long do you serve?
23 and a half years.
Wow. Congrats. Thank you for your service. I also did not serve. The rest of these draft dodgers out here. But I mean, I didn't, but like, how many years was it again?
23 and a half.
23 and a half. Yeah. Oh man, I would add it all.
I was running up to 24.
Absolutely. No, I say that because I'm not served, obviously, right? If something had to do with my hair or like flat feet, I'm not sure. But I did like face like rush hour in Atlanta, which is essentially the same thing, right? Like, we're being real about it. I've got my stripes as well. So thank us for our service. But no, my weapon of choice is a Honda Civic. Anybody else? No? Am I the only Honda Civic? Okay, yes. That is what's up. That is what's up. Yes, my weapon of choice is a Honda Civic. So I wrote a piece in dedication to my Honda Civic. It is called A Rapper's Ode to His Honda Civic. It's what it says. And with that, it is essentially me, a rapper, being very braggadocious about the fact that I drive a Honda, and I think there needs to be more of that. So, with that being said, it goes like this. Once more into the breach, dear friends. Some look at life through the rear view, others through a beer lens. Stellar vision, cider visor, sixpence none the wiser. I am Oro Hershiser, pitching product to the buyers. Through the wire, I deliver pot liquor to the public. Hate it or love it, I am the topic of the subject. I am brolic on a budget. There's strength in numbers in this business. As a member of a group called The Remnant, what I'm saying is there actually isn't. So I am in a Honda Civic and no one is riding shotgun. I am listening to God's son, both Nas and the begotten one. I spit malnutrition, in other words, I've got a rotten tongue. I'm downright spoiled, you recoil from the hottest sun. I am just some chocolate chum who got it done with lots of fun, maneuvered through the pond scum at Mach 1 with knowledge from any and everywhere that it might arise. And if it ain't close by, I put it in drive. Somewhere between a MARTA train and a charter plane. I somehow found my lane like Kiffin in this game. I'm not a coach on the sidelines. I am in a stagecoach, drive time, radio, telling me which way to go. Maceo of De La Soul made me know the stakes stay low, they're hella high, propeller fly over all the obstacles. Keep hands at the 10 and the 2 o'clock position. Because I deliver like an obstetrician to a fan that would stop and listen. Like I didn't have a pot to piss in nor a window to discard, but I am trekking on these stars like Captain Jean-Luc Picard, ancient bard of the Bonneville. I am the poet of a Pontiac. I am the Cyrano de Bergerac of a Scion hatchback. Insured by Aflac, lame duck dilettantes pair me to draw their denouement with the written font. Riding on city streets, beats are banging Dilla's drums. Listen, son, it takes a village to raise a slum. Lady Diana was in a tunnel. Tupac was on a Vegas strip. B.I.G. was in a GMC when he was hit. JFK was rifle sniped in a long black limousine, and Lisa Left Eye swerved her Mitsubishi into trees. You see, these are the brakes like Meineke, Penske. Death has no hidden cost, minus the entry, the final destination could find you even riding a 10-speed, but I'm here to give new meaning to the phrase driving defensively. You see, that car can be a casket, a portable tomb, a gas-guzzling mass murderer that goes boom, consuming Saudi oil. The royal chic smiles at each and every pit stop, gridlock for miles. I lay my case like tile on linoleum. Texas tea, British petroleum, crude unleaded oil for them morning commuters. Road rage, DUI, jaws of life, had to pry my homie out the driver's side, and you may die like AT Aliens intro. So buckle up, kinfolk, that airbag didn't blow. You're sitting low in a Chevy 6-4, mistletoe. You kiss the gift of life goodbye once that ribbon bow has been ripped apart. This is for my homie who was walking on the Long Island Expressway, who had no idea that'd be his death day. Let's say a prayer for every lone soldier. Move your car over to the shoulder because a Maybach curtain closes once your show's over. That's it. I wanted to drink before I drive. No, I'm not driving. Yeah, so it was really tough as rush hour traffic. The second war that I was in, yes, besides that, was I found myself caught. There was a bunch of people on the road. I didn't understand what was happening. I was surrounded by everyone. Turns out, just up the street from where I was a Popeyes. Ooh. It was a chicken sandwich. Yes. Yeah. Anybody have the Popeyes chicken sandwich? Anybody? One. Anybody? Oh. Okay. Yes. How was it?
Delicious.
Okay.
Can I make a confession? Can I make a confession?
Yes.
You have it? I'm gonna make a confession. So I became a pescatarian about a year ago.
Yeah.
I did. I became a pescatarian. And then the internet started talking about the Popeyes. And I snuck out and I tried it.
Word.
And the internet was not wrong. The internet last time. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. But what made it, what I started, like, everybody's talking about the chicken sandwich.
Yes.
And no one's talking about, I feel like the victim in all of this.
There's a victim?
There's a victim in all of this. As we're all enjoying these delicious sandwiches and we're feeding ourselves, we're feeling real good, we are all forgetting. The victim in all of this is Burger King. Burger King went out of their way. They went out of their way. They didn't have to do this, and they were like, "You guys just want to eat veggie, like you want to eat Impossible Burgers." Yeah. And this is why I feel so bad. Like, I shouldn't feel bad for this large conglomerate that is Burger King, but I do. And here's why I feel bad for them: because they try so hard. Burger King puts out more effort than any other fast food chain. Burger King, what do you guys want? Nuggets? I got nuggets. Yes, I got Burger King, but I got nuggets. What do you want? An Impossible Burger? Tacos. What do you tacos? Here, please, someone love us. Like a needy person in your family just want like, hey, chill out, man. Like, just don't try to do your best. Like, Burger King's over here like, we'll put 3 stacks of beef and bacon up. Did someone come here and buy the food? It's like, yo, you know Popeye's got a sandwich now. What's just the simplest move? It wasn't even like a chess move for Popeye. Like, honestly, they're late to the game. Like, what are you doing? You've had all this chicken for all these years. She's like, you know what? Shit, maybe we could. Just put 2 pieces of bread. And we're like, oh my God, Popeye's chicken. You know, Burger King. There's no one reward ever. Like, Burger King is so upset right now. I feel so bad, but I don't want to talk about Burger King. We need to start eating their food. They're gonna make up more stuff. One day Burger King's just gonna be a Dairy Queen. We don't even care about food. We're just gonna serve ice cream. You guys have ice cream, please. But this is Burger King.
The real victim. I respect it.
I found it really funny though, like because with the Popeye chicken, so again, show of hands, who had it? You had
The couple, they had it as a
unit, right here. It's incredible because like it was really just a chicken sandwich. But if you went online, like it became so much larger.
Experience.
It was like positive experience, but then it was like, yo, we need to like tie like what if like people voted?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They were getting the chicken. Like it was like the fact that like people wanted a chicken sandwich, they were like, okay, nah.
How do we utilize it?
How do we utilize the chicken
There was a
sandwich?
young man who went out there.
There was a young man out there signing people up to vote. But they weaponized the chicken sandwich, which is incredible.
It is.
And I wrote a piece about food.
Yes.
About a lot of things that food can do. It's a piece that I actually don't have memorized, so it's going to be the only piece tonight that I read off my phone. Is that okay? Kind of has to be right on my end. There it is. It's a piece called Groundswell, and I wrote this for a company or an organization that deals with like responsible, like farm to table things. As you can tell, I took that message very deeply, as my description describes. So yeah, I'm gonna do this piece. It's a little confessional about my life, but yeah, I don't want you to think that I'm a victim. I'm not Burger King. I'm just telling you. Groundswell, that is to say, is a noun, a buildup of opinion or feeling in a large segment of the population. Act 1, sitting at the table, my first memory as a toddler is watching my loving mother cut pieces of peach cobbler. Doppler radar forecast, a smile predictably moves across her face when I ask in all the non-verbal cues associated with youth if I can have a taste. So she breaks a small piece off with her fingers, one with a good ratio of crust to peach, right? But as I try to touch and reach, she withdraws her hand enough and speaks and informs me that this was baked with key ingredients from up the street, a peach tree, from my Aunt Essie's backyard, but I didn't care. I just wanted to eat. So I sunk my teeth into the sweet dish, and of course it was delish. This began my lifelong battle with dessert as my weakness. Now see, this is is a real life, but it can serve as an allegory that nothing tastes better than food that has a story. Act 2. I am all of 22, a recent college graduate with student loans when a loss of weight at an alarming pace leads me to a diagnosis of Crohn's. Now this is an inflammatory disease which left me fatigued and malnourished, abdominal pains and joint strains. Some days I would be out of service. This is a chronic disease without a cure. It was all barium enemas and colonoscopies, scanning my upper GI tract to track any anomalies. When you are routinely vomiting hard enough that it hurts and you can't keep any food in your body long enough that it will work, when you've been prescribed prednisone to give you strength and a burst, but its side effects leave you with insomnia, heartburn, and personality quirks, underemployed, uninsured, you're supposed to be in the prime of your life, but instead you're in bed, sometimes crying throughout the night. Not to be trite, but as it says, you are what you eat. And I couldn't afford to be a patient that a gastroenterologist could treat, so I did a gut check, literally, and became better prepared when I began to understand that a function of my diet was healthcare. Act 3. There was a narrative in the plate. There was a trust baked into the entree. A confidence in the cuisine when the ground that grew the food isn't unsafe. The conscious consumer thinks through mitigating harm when there is a trail of breadcrumbs from the table back to the farm. Locally sourced herbs, vegetables, fruits, and poultry bridge the gap between the urban and rural. Why can't my food come from close to me? One devoid of pesticides, monocultures, and soil degradation, tree coverage displacement, feed for livestock, and energy for transportation. See, in a food desert, diet diseases are contagious, so it's a wonder walls block consumers from an oasis. And can't you taste it? The combination of homegrown flavors, seasoned and ripe vegetation from the earth you can savor. From the grocery aisle to the stovetop, the decision is made before we go shop. We have to purpose regionally. Familiar farms with known crops. This is the groundswell. And when you examine the ground, it is found well, in good shape for a movement of consumers and producers that serve as a loud bell alerting businesses that we support a local food economy, one that respects Mother Earth and doesn't do damage ecologically. Honestly, sense and sustainability, let us reflect and redefine what it means, because, ladies and gentlemen, we possess the power to make sure that the bottom line is extra green. Thank you.
When I was sitting there thinking, I thought about another victory. And all this. I feel like this is oftentimes like you neglect genius. Like normally genius is never in its own like its proper time.
Yeah.
And so another victim of all this who was lost in all of this, never genius long before all of this crazy in the last couple weeks, is Kentucky Fried Chicken. And here's why. And I'm not saying I participated in this craze, but do you remember when Kentucky Fried Chicken and everybody's crazy, like going crazy about sandwiches now? But do you remember Kentucky Fried Chicken was basically like, yo, fuck bread. We'll just make chicken the bread. Do you remember that? They were like, we don't even need cookies. I'll just put chicken on chicken. I'm gonna give y'all what y'all want and dump. You know what I mean? KFC has a special place in my heart, though. I just say this real quick. I don't think this is necessarily part of what I want to say. But KFC, do you remember, KFC is tied to my favorite person in the world, which is Oprah. It's another person we forget about, genius. See, this country does a terrible job of remembering people who do great things for this country, right? Do y'all remember, maybe I was in college when this happened, so maybe this is why it sticks at home with me in a certain way. But do y'all remember when Oprah fed all of America? See, you get forgetful. Nobody remembers this? In like 2000, maybe like 7 or 8, when KFC was like, we're gonna make a grilled chicken sandwich. And everybody was like, okay. And then Oprah said, if you just print out this coupon, I'll pay for you to get a free chicken sandwich. Anybody see, you weren't hungry enough in college. Because where I was at, we ran out of ink printing out KFC coupons for very mediocre grilled chicken sandwiches. But all of a sudden say like, why is she not the Queen of America officially? Like she fed us. Anybody who could get a printer, and that's anybody, like anybody who woke up with that and was just like, hey, Oprah said I get a chicken sandwich, and they wouldn't have to honor it. And we had to be up here, Oprah should do it. I just want Oprah to be Queen of America officially. She fed us. Now, I'm tired of talking about victims. I want to talk about culprits real quick. The culprit in this whole, I guess I have thoughts about chicken sandwich wars. The culprit in all of this and no one's talking about it enough is Chick-fil-A. So after the whole thing went down with the Popeyes chicken and everybody went crazy, and then Popeyes, after like a week of this craze, was like, shoot, we ran out of chicken. So they didn't give people. A lot of people should have been fired. You can't be a chicken operation and just be like, sorry to inform y'all. You know that thing that we're known for? And then everybody loves exclusively, and people bought $23 million worth of them last week. We ran out of it. It's crazy. Now, that seems like a very harmless thing that it could happen to anybody. Maybe somebody messed up the numbers or whatever. No. Sheeple, don't think that it's something sensitive, okay? We all know the actual, the culprit and the reason why Popeyes ran out of chicken was Chick-fil-A. Here's do you remember what happened on Twitter when Chick-fil-A made a harmless tweet I don't know what the tweet was exactly, but it was like, you know how we love y'all? Come eat our chicken sandwich. And then Popeye was like, fuck your chicken sandwich, bitch. They were really aggressive on Twitter. And then all these Twitter wars on these chicken sandwiches. And then Wendy's spoke out, and then Burger King was like, but we have one shut up, Burger King. Nobody like those fat-ass chicken sandwich. That's real. Burger King slowly tapped out. All right, but we still got it possible for everybody. It was a war online. These companies were going back and forth about these jokes, and Chick-fil-A was silent online. They said nothing. They had that first tweet that got everybody into it, and then they said nothing. And then mysteriously, 2 weeks after, chicken just disappeared from Popeye. I don't believe that. Chick-fil-A was for sure just like, look here, y'all. Buy up all them farms. Cut off the supply. We now let nobody get to Popeyes no more with their chicken sandwiches. And now Popeyes gotta pay the pipe. You know what I'm saying? They gotta go through it. Also, this is a side fact. This is how even in I know I kind of paint Chick-fil-A's as devilish people that did this. But anybody read that story about the dude who worked at Chick-fil-A while all this was going on and Popeyes was losing their mind? There was a dude at Chick-fil-A, and one Chick-fil-A was across the street from Popeyes, saw all of these workers basically being worked to the bone, and just brought all the employees Chick-fil-A sandwiches. Everybody's like, oh, open it up. I was like, nah, I go flex when I see one. They're enjoy your money now, bitch. We'll get you back. People like to talk about Chick-fil-A. A lot of people's first job that I knew growing up, their first job was Chick-fil-A. Everybody's first job was Chick-fil-A. Nobody? I just feel they was hiring it felt like they were hiring 13-year-old people. Does anyone else feel like they hired 13-year-old homeschoolers? And it's just they were that homeschool work with this program. It's just all right, the mom did anyway. The reason I say a lot of people that I know work for Chick-fil-A when growing up is because I grew up in Christian school. I went to Christian high school. Anybody else? Anybody know those? Did you? Yeah, you're the mascot. Everybody, 1, 3, let's name our mascot. 1, 2, 3, an eagle, right? We're some kind of eagle. Christians are very creative, those Christians. Everybody was like an eagle, or I was a patriot, an eagle.
We were the stars.
Oh, y'all were fans. Y'all were fans. They were those fast Christians. Progressive Christians. Stars in the sky. Get out of here. No. Y'all read New King James Version. Fancy with it. No, a lot of my friends, I grew up in Christian school, and I attribute a lot of me being a comedian to go into Christian school because, first of all, it was just here's how I ended up there, right? My father found Jesus before I was born, and then he said, look, I don't want you to have no friends, so I'm gonna sing you. I don't want you to have friends because I had to burn on my jazz music, so you can't have friends. And he sent me to Christian my whole life. I went to Christian school. Let me just take this moment to say, I am a miracle. Everybody that I know that went to Christian school does not know how to talk to people publicly, right? I'm not in Christian school. I came out of it, and I have some friends that are doing fine. But a lot of us, this is legit. I know a dude that had a full ride to Harvard. He was that smart. He was like, I think God wants me to be a firefighter. I don't think that. I'm not saying he didn't say that, but I feel like you might want to holler at Jesus. Maybe that different? Like, I don't know. It's interesting. I still like to say, like, growing up in Christian school, it was interesting because, like, it shaped the way I did everything, right? One of the main things it shaped was, like, how I went about dating. Yeah, so you know. We're gonna lock eyes right now, because you know my pain. It's really hard. Maybe you can help me out. Do you remember, like, the thing when Christian dating, when they talk about, like, you go on a date with a young lady, what was the rule?
I didn't go on dates with young ladies.
Oh, well, that was probably the first rule. That was the first rule. Right. But they were like, if you were going to go on a date, how it had to go is on the date, essentially, it was you, your date, and Jesus. They would always say, leave room for Jesus. And in between you, right? Which, it's not terrible. It's not the worst advice. You know what I mean? Like, at 15, we all need a chaperone of some sort, right? What was interesting though is, like, I adopted that. I was like, yo, like, this is good for me at the time. I need to, like, be with, like, I need supervision in that way, right? At 14, right? But then, like, 15, 16, and 17. When, like, girls start looking a little bit different, like, now, like, a little, you just like, all right, Jesus, look, we need to talk. Like, you just have, like, come on, Jesus, say, hey, listen, man, we've been rolling you, the three of us, for a while. It's been good. You kept us in line. Life's been good. There's been no accident. Everything's good. But I gotta be honest with you, Jesus, you kind of cramping my style. And I need you to sit this one out, Jesus. Right? So at 17 years old, I told Jesus to sit this one out, and I went on a date with a young lady who my mother would describe as fast. That's how moms talk. Don't be surprised. Everybody have moms that say stuff like that. Moms are very protective of babies. But I went on a date, and all I knew about going on dates the date that I wanted to go, the Jesus-less date, the first thing I knew I needed to do was take her to a movie, because that's what television taught me, right? You take her to a movie, and so I was like, I gotta take her to a movie, but if you know how it's supposed to go, you don't take her to, like, a movie that you care about, right? But I did. I took her to a movie. I took her to the great cinematic experience that was Paris Hilton's House of Wax, is what I did. You guys remember that amazing movie starring Paris Hilton? Yeah, because I knew neither one of us knew who Paris Hilton was. We didn't know at the time who she was. We just knew, like, she was the girl on TV said that. Anyway. That's hot. Smart, right? So I took this young lady on a date to see House of Wax. And at the date, obviously nobody's watching the movie. I'm just making out with this girl the whole movie. The movie ends, we're still making out. And she's like, yo, let's go back to, like, I drive her back home, right? So I'm walking to her to the car, and she begins to, like, it's hot in here, right? Like, a lot's going on. I'm walking to the car, she's whispering things in my ear that I'm like, Jesus, he would not let you say that. You know what I mean? A lot of those things are happening in that moment. She's whispering in my ear. And then what happened was, as I'm walking her to her car, I pass out. Yeah, I pass out just walking a girl to the car, and then this is what happened. I just remember waking up under the tailpipe of a 98 Mustang with a very frightened young lady like, oh, please don't be dead. Oh, please don't be dead. Oh, please don't be dead. Yeah, essentially what happened, upon further review, if I just examine my life and figure out what happened, I'm pretty sure I just, like, overheated. Like, I was too excited. I was too excited. I was like, man, they're really smart. This is crazy. I passed out into the parking lot of the movie theater, right? But here's what I remember the most. I remember after coming to, and the young lady just screaming bloody murder, please don't be dead. Please don't be dead. The first thought I had was not like, oh, I'm so happy to be alive and not be dead in this movie theater. The first thing I thought was, Jesus is a scornful lover. Like, don't play. I went to church next Sunday. I was like, my bad, Jesus, look. I never try again. I come back, like, just don't pull no, like, you know what I mean? Like, let's talk about this, Jesus, next time. If you want to say something, just, like, nudge me. Don't, like, make me pass out. Wait, show you love.
God is a painter, and the sky is his canvas, and stars glow golden like bona fide treasures. God is a poet, and our lives are his stanzas, and when we first met, it was the dopest rhyme ever. There are moments that life measures, that immortalize memories that are more divine than the most overpriced pleasures, and I focus my efforts to say this perfect because I know it might never get vocalized better. And some of this I've said. The rest I've been needing to. I am trying to say I love you. I'm just taking the scenic route. Now, in case I repeat a few phrases or seemingly stray, it is okay, but believe me when I say that this is a poem for you. And yes, I made some bad ones, and I played them on stages, and some fans came, but baby, when this play's imagine that it's just me and you, and I am singing our anthem. I do not usually do well writing these kind of poems. I mean, most times I skip these Jones, I leave them alone, not because I'm cold-hearted, indifferent, or lethargic. I just think what I write, to be honest, ain't the smartest for someone who's articulate. When it comes to you, I tend to get tight-lipped, and I vice grip my words expressing sentiment. So in the words of Jane Austen, I have never been more sure that if I loved you less, then yes, I could probably talk about it more. So right on my chest, dear, that is where you can rest your left ear and get prepped here to hear my heartbeat sweet. Nothing's to you a dream daring to come true. There'll be a point you'll need something new, old, borrowed, and blue. I want to get old and grow a gut that I suck in when I'm next to you. I want to be 60-odd years old, still trying to impress you, and I have been holding my breath since the moment we met, hoping to get closer in depth, but I don't think you know yet that I love you. So let's start there. Strip the art bare. That is my heart there. Let me in part share how we got here. Far from the spark flares. Please, if you don't mind, be all ears. Earth, my place of birth. Born to be the lone roamer of the universe. And I was just a human flirt, drew from dirt, delivered from the womb to nurse, dodging Cupid's curse until I saw you in that tunic skirt. Venus de Milo. You are my breathtaking Eiffel. We began the cat and mouse chase, the Felix, the Fievel, the pursuit paid off. I make my pitch clean and steady, not ready to bite the dust, so please be my queen, Freddie Mercury. The years then passed by hurriedly. Blissful dates, wedding, first home, child in nursery. Our rocket love became tertiary, urgently, because you were rushed to the hospital. Sheer heart attack, surgery, Jupiter. What am I to do if you ain't her? Our daughter needs a mother here to root for her. In the nuclear, family cannot see you go the route of Pluto. I want to love you just the way you are. Bruno Mars. Pseudo-stars cannot defeat your presence. You are my aurora borealis, who is now bedridden under incandescent lights, ventilators, and EKG machines. And visiting hours do not apply to those of us with wedding rings. Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, the galaxy, Emery, Crawford, Long, angioplasty, the lump in my throat, that clump in your artery, and the prospect of going on without you, babe, is hard for me. And this is my real life, withering heights. And I am praying to Christ in the tune of Give Me the Night, so that you might greet the sun tomorrow once the curtain's drawn. Because a morning without you here, my dear, is just a dwindled dawn. That was that piece right there. So, I feel like at most poetry events or poetry things, like people think of poetry, they often think like, oh, you must write a lot of love poems, and or they assume that that's always the case, and it's not. Like, that's like one of the few that I've written, and it's actually not autobiographical. I wrote it first person, but it is not my story. It's the story of a friend of mine who went through this situation with his wife. And I just think that that's the amazing thing about poetry. The amazing thing about art in general, right, is that it can kind of provide language for things that kind of, where words kind of fail sometimes, right? It can attempt to do that. And I don't know about y'all, but like I've had like some rough years. Anybody ever had like just a really tough year? Like, yeah, I mean, it happens, like, right? Like, there's some years that are great, some years that are not so great, and I just think it's important to like in the process of all of that, to keep your sanity, you gotta find that thing that gives you peace, right? Find whatever that is. You gotta find that and like hold on to it as best you can. You know, before you wake up under a tailpipe of a 98 red sea, yeah.
Not science.
No pursuit. So it's like really tough. And so anyway, like the piece that I think about the way that poem ends was kind of this tension of a loved one looking at their spouse who is facing this very serious medical condition. I myself have suffered losses, and I think all of us have. And it's when you reach those moments of chaos, it's interesting. You kind of, it forces you to reckon with that. And so I asked the question, can you locate the heaven in your disaster? Can you find the peace in the cyclone winds spinning in the Tropic of Cancer? The author, Zora Neale Hurston, said that some years are known to question, others answer. Well, it can often feel as though we are meandering between the familiar and the unknown. Navigating foreign lands but still longing for a home. You see, chaos is a condition that the creative must live in. And when given uncertainty, we are tasked to fashion a definition, offer just a smidgen of order. When life feels like Little Shop of Horrors, we turn crapshoots into cobblestone so that we might move forward. And if we're honest, haven't we all been there in a position wishing we could tell our left from right, disoriented, trying to distinguish our day from our night, from mild annoyance to great torment? Chaos is by nature life. It is the emerging realities that seem to evolve on a daily basis. It is the technological breakthroughs that have us reconsider what is taboo and sacred. It is the technological advancements of progress from humanity's ever-changing needs, and it is the quantum leaps being made at seemingly breakneck speed. However, if we're honest, chaos is also when that tornado or hurricane changes course and reduces a house to rubble. Or when a spouse asks for a divorce and you weren't aware that the marriage was in trouble. Or the failed suicide attempt from the twice relapsed addict or the immigrant in a new country wondering if it is welcoming to the Muslim or the Hispanic. Or perhaps it's you know, Monday morning sitting at your desk surrounded by like-minded strangers, drowning in deadlines and demands, drifting without an anchor, seemingly submerged in the chatter, clamor, and nonsense. Ask yourself, can you find beauty even right there in this creative process? You see, as storytellers, we take the pen and scribble to make this life livable. We manufacture what is marvelous from the miserable, from smithereens erect citadels, turn trials into something trivial, from insanity emerge invincible. We make it cool like that, knowing in fact the planets are diggable. We transfer paint from the easel to the canvas, and this is all done in some grand effort to help us understand it, to have a hand in structuring this new reality. In the age of singularity, we use devastation and disparity as an opportunity for renewed clarity. We must build the world we need to proceed in the manner that we must. Chaos is not a conclusion. For the creative, it is an opportunity to discover us. Thank you.
Comedy is my favorite thing in the world to do. Though I do enjoy like people obviously laughing. That's part of their job. You want people to laugh. But like another thing I like, honestly I like it, but like just the idea that comedy allows people to like maybe understand things a little bit better. You know what I mean? From different perspectives, from different ways of life, stuff like that. I don't know everything, but I try to put two worlds together with people sometimes, right? So like I said, I grew up in Jonesboro, Georgia, like so I get white people. You know what I mean? Like no, I speak very fluent redneck. You know what I mean? I get white people, right? But like I was driving the other day, not too long ago, it was a couple months ago maybe. I was driving to Atlanta, driving Peachtree Street, driving by the Fox Theater, right? And I noticed that playing at the Fox was Les Mis. Am I familiar with Les Mis?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I should hope so. There are quite a few white people in the room. And I've done my research on Les Mis. And per Wikipedia, $244 million worth of white people saw Les Mis. And its legacy installment. So I know that the majority of you in here have seen the movie. Maybe a lot have seen it multiple times. But here's the thing. You know what I mean about Les Mis? I feel like it's a great thing, right? Like I remember in high school having to read Les Mis. It was on the syllabus, we were going to read Les Mis. And then I was like, I'm going to go to Barnes Noble and get some Cliff Notes. And which we did. But I saw the movies, how did I get? But like, Les Mis is so interesting to me as like a piece of a thing that like people watch because like, I don't know the story of Les Mis, right? There's the main character was who? Jean Valjean, right? Jean Valjean. And Jean Valjean, what he did was, his major infraction was he stole a loaf of bread, right? It seems like a very small, minor plot, right? He just stole a loaf of bread to feed his family, not because he was like trying to be bread king. He just, you know what I mean? Like, this is bread, we'll put me on top, right? No, he had a person that he had to take care of. He stole a very harmless thing, right? And then afterwards, he stole the bread. One gentleman knew he stole the bread and made it his life's mission to find this man who stole a loaf of bread. I don't know how much bread was worth back then, but I feel like it's been pretty consistent throughout history that it is not, I don't know, spend a life's work of your time worth of following an individual, right? But this dude did Javert, right? The cop Javert tried to his whole life to try to find this man who stole a loaf of bread, right? It's insane, right? It's crazy. Some of the police work that had to be going on in France at that time, and he was like, Chief, save my murders. And the traffic takes on time for him. This man stole my bread. Look at his bread. Anyway, but we all know how ridiculous that is for this man to spend his whole life and police this man in a way to find him and hunt him down over a loaf of bread. We all agree that is ridiculous, right? Yes, you know, as American society, we agree that it's super ridiculous, which is so weird because, like, when a black man is selling loose cigarettes, half of America is like, yo, man, shut that shit down, bro. What are you doing selling loose cigarettes? What the hell's wrong with you? Arrest this man. He's selling loose cigarettes. And then when the man dies on camera, they're like, he shouldn't have been selling loose cigarettes. And I'm like, $244 million of white people have know that that's some bullshit. Like, it's like inconsistent. You already know the bread shit. It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense, but then you flip-flop. And it's like, how you want people to understand where you're coming from, so you try to paint these parallels. And I cannot paint a better parallel than like you already painted your own parallel, and yet you don't even see what's happening. So as a black person, it becomes difficult. It's like, what do I tell other black people so they don't get in this situation? You know what I mean? Like, how do I protect the black people in my lives so they don't have to deal with the situation? And the only thing that I've come to at this point, based on what it is, the current standing, or what's going on, the only thing I tell other black people is, niggas gotta learn French. I don't know what else. I just nothing else. What else do we do? Nothing else. We try. Like, you already have the example. That's right. No. So listen, I enjoy doing comedy. I told my friend I was doing comedy up here. Real quick, anybody like my hairstyle? Like the way it is? Normally, like I try to get a fresh cut before I come in, but I was like, I've been asking too much. I'm chilling. I like my haircut. Most people like my haircut. It's my favorite haircut. It's on people like, hey, that's nice. Everyone else just has somebody no one cares, right? Like, this is my favorite haircut, right? And I have a friend who, just to give you an idea how weird this friend is, because I'm gonna tell you some weird shit that he said, right? I have a friend who, this is true, I told him I was performing here in Athens, and swear to God, I've known this friend since I was in 3rd grade. And he comes to me and he says, hey man, you performing in Athens, huh? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you perform in front of like a lot of white people, huh? I was like, I don't know, man, sometimes. And he was like, how do you make white people laugh? Like, it's some kind of weird code that I crack every time I go on stage. Like some Mission Impossible shit, right? So I told him the truth. I said, it's very easy for me to
to get white people to laugh. What I like to do before I go on stage is just tickle each and every one of them. He was like, word, and I was like, shut up, stupid. So stupid. He's laying the ground with his friend is. He's a great dumb person. So my friend, I've been wearing this haircut for a while now. And my friend, when I first started rocking this haircut, my friend said something very weird to me, right? He saw me in a haircut and he was like, yo, man, like that's a cool haircut. I like your haircut, but like aren't you afraid to have that haircut? And I was like, oh, listen, I know I'm supposed to be afraid of a lot of shit being black, but like I didn't know haircut was the thing I should be afraid of. He was like, you know what I mean? Like, aren't you afraid that like with that haircut that like white people will come up and like touch your hair and shit? Right? And so we laugh about it, but like I'm allowed to have women friends in my life and they have these horror stories about their white coworkers coming up and touching their hair and how they have to restrain, choking white people at work and stuff like that. Right? So I get it. I understand. Look at all the black women like, yes. Thank you. Spread the word. No. So I understand that although it's like a funny thing, like there's some truth in it, right? But I'm saying this, I'm here today to say this, right? If anybody here wants to touch my hair after the show, go for it. I know what I look like, I'm adorable. I put fruits and berries in my shit, I smell like a birthday cake. I know the desire to touch my hair is great. Go for it. And I say that because what I've learned in my 32 years on this earth is that white people will protect shit that they can pet. So I'm just trying to get home
formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. And so was my dark ebony skin on the surface of that street. Chocolate cheek face down on the concrete padded from the waist down, a cop's knee in my spine, ironically, as he called for backup. I dare not make a sound. The officer said this was routine. I believed him because this was not a new thing. Plenty of brown faces had found their homes on a pavement, and this was my turn. So I pray that the concrete does not become my urn, burned to ash by the bias of a badge. So I pray that the concrete does not become my urn, burned to ash by the bias of a badge. Son is looking at his innocent dad, and I want to tell him that he can grow up to be more than a hashtag, more than a means to march, more than a grief remembered in the heart, more than a deceased matter that is dark. Let there be light. Because see, the boys in blue, they will Roy G. Biv you. Taste the rainbow with Skittles and iced tea. Society will write in bold Times New Roman that you were no angel in your obituary. They will Tamir Rice your children at a pavilion. They will Sean Bell your future spouse. The belly of the beast will feast on you despite the Sandra Bland taste your skin leaves in its mouth. And when you are not afforded a process that is due, shouting a quote from Ta-Nehisi Coates won't save you. Plus there are those who will all lives matter you until you no longer matter. Blue. Black and blue. What does a man with my hue have to do in order to survive an encounter with you? That officer He eventually let up. I mean, he offered no apology, but he said, I can get up. He said, go about your day and send me on the way with an unfriendly smile, and there I am left piecing back the remnants of my dignity in front of my only child. And as I drove home that night, I tried to let my heart not harden, because this is what happens when marginalized people refuse to stay in the margins.
Like I said earlier, comedy is one of those things that, like, it can, if worded right or done right, like, there can be some sort of, like, understanding, right? That people can understand your shit, right? But, like, sometimes, I'm not always gonna be there, right? So sometimes social media, like, stuff affects me, and sometimes I post things, and I have a very wide variety of friends who I grew up with. Like I said, I grew up in Jonesboro, Georgia. If you know, like I said, it's Clayton County. Best way I describe it is my neighbor to my left is a staunch Trump supporter, and my neighbor to my right is a black lady that has a limousine business, right? Very weird, cross, you know, the people. So like, say like I have a wide range of friends that I grew up with, right? One of the friends, a friend who I grew up with is a police officer, right? So after a death of a young black man, I posted something online, and at the end I just hashtagged it, Black Lives Matter, right? And a friend who I grew up with, who was not a police officer, saw that, and his comment to that was, all lives matter. And then more importantly, he said, blue lives matter, right? Which is, that's disgusting, right? Like, not now, like, don't do it. Like, say that, don't comment at me, you know what I mean? Like, say that for someone else, right? But he said that, and like a lot of people who have that phrase, they say it to like, I don't know, like, because they feel like black people, when we say Black Lives Matter, they feel like what we're saying is only Black Lives Matter, right? And everybody here, we're all smart people. We know that is not what black people are saying, right? We all know that black people aren't saying only Black Lives Matter, right? Can I agree with that? Like, we know that? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Right. But like, what if we were saying that? Like, what if we were like getting groups of people and just being like, you know, like, white people not mad at the like, damn right they're not mad at that. We just had a day where we decided as a people, like, we are not gonna let white people matter. I'm not saying we should do this. I think everybody should matter. I appreciate people for coming out and supporting me with your white dollars. But I'm just saying, white people, if we were to say that, you have got to admit, you guys have had a good run in matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it made other people feel better to just matter a little bit less, you gotta be like, because this is the thing I've realized about me. I'm the oldest in my family, I'm the oldest child. I matter a lot. And that's so much pressure to matter so much. I can't imagine mattering all the fucking time. You guys matter all the time. There's no letting up. Like, I have to be perfect for my parents because I mattered the most. I was first and I mattered. And now imagine, I can't imagine just being white and just every day you're like, oh, I matter so much, and you gotta, that's stressful. That's gotta be stressful. I think instead of like, y'all need to have a meeting like, maybe we should matter a little bit less. Like, maybe let somebody else matter a little bit, and then they'll feel about themselves. I don't know. Just a thought. You guys email yourselves, talk amongst yourselves. I don't know. There's a book fair coming up or something. You guys, I don't know. That was cool for like laughing at all of this. I know, because you know, this means like you understand comedy, you know, comedy works, you understand that there's some truth in what I'm saying, but also obviously what I'm saying is it just everybody here. I appreciate you, and the main thing I appreciate about you is that no one here has like the boo face. Like no one here came to like be like upset about the words that were gonna come out of my. Like no one came here upset about comedy, and I appreciate it because I've been a comedian now for almost 9 years. And I know what boo face looks like. You know what the boo face is? The boo face, if you don't know, is like people who come to comedy shows and normally they cross their arms and they're just like, look, my day wasn't shit. I'm about to bring yours down, comedian. Like they're just mad for no reason. Like, oh, you could be doing anything else. And this is what I love about when I say that part. I see people like slowly unfolding their arms. Talking about me. I don't have the boo face. No one here has a boo face, and I appreciate I've been booed before as a comedian. And let me just say this, being booed is never fun, but it can be funny. Can I share with y'all my worst boo story?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Y'all are way too excited to hear my pain. We were friends, guys. This is a true story. I was doing comedy in Atlanta at a place in Atlanta that is called the Underground. Yeah, okay. If you don't know, see the Woos? They're very happy that I'm still alive. So that's why the Woos are like that. The best way I describe the Underground is it is a place where people, if you were to go there, you're like walking around, you're like trying to find a concert or something like that, there's a good chance as you're walking, you could just like, I don't know, like stumble upon a whole dead body.
Yeah.
There's a dead body, you look at that dead body and just go, that actually fits to the core. And you would leave the dead body because it's just what happens at Underground. It's a terrible place, no one is safe there, right? So I'm 2 years into doing comedy and I'm on a stage and I'm telling very mediocre jokes. None of my jokes at that time are great, but none of them are terrible. I'm a very forgettable comedian at this time. And I know forgettable sounds bad, but forgettable is perfect. Because forgettable just means you're not the topic of conversation when people drive home. And I've been there before. Every comedy show people go to, there's always a comedian that you go home with, just Nick Devil or whoever, and you just like, can you believe that one motherfucker on stage? Like you get upset that they let that one person on because he was the worst. I was forgettable, right? I'm on the stage, I'm being very forgettable, my very forgettable jokes, and I noticed coming into the venue, a gentleman comes into the venue, and the first thing I notice about the gentleman is that he is pushing a Target grocery cart. If anybody doesn't know, there is not a Target within 10 miles of the Underground. Also, the Underground is not a grocery store. None of these things belong where that's happening, right? The second thing I noticed about this gentleman is that he is wearing both khaki pants, which are fine, but atop of his khaki pants, that's right, atop of his khaki pants, he is wearing jean shorts. No. That's the problem. If you saw a jean short khaki man out here, you'd be like, somebody arrest this crazy person. Like, that would be weird, right? And let me just say this, it wasn't the winter time, he wasn't layering it up because he was cold. It was hot as shit. He just back holding them on, and he pushes this cart into the venue, and I'm on stage like, anybody gonna check that? What is going on? Like, it's weird. But I continue to tell my mediocre jokes, and I'm getting some laughs, not great, but it's going fine. And the gentleman sits in the middle of the venue, right where I'm at. I can see him, right in my line of vision, the eyes vision, and I notice him get restless. You see him get restless? He got restless. He was like upset about something that I was saying. And all of a sudden, this gentleman stands up, pushes the grocery cart to the side, and just goes, boom! Get your fat ass off the stage, you ain't shit! Guys, you understand what happened to me in that moment? You understand what happened to me in that moment? I don't think you understand what happened to me in that moment. No, in that moment, a whole homeless man booed me. A whole homeless man booed me. Let's break that down real quick as a group. Number one, if you're homeless, you do not have what? A home. Number two, you do not have a job to provide yourself housing. I'm not trying to shit on this dude in his situation. I'm just saying those two things are typically tied very tightly to people's self-esteem, right? Like that dude woke up homeless, which honestly should have been the worst part of his day, right? Then he stumbles and finds a very empty grocery cart, looks in and was like, damn, ain't no groceries in there? All right, fuck it. Starts pushing the grocery cart upwards of 10 miles. Starts to hear some laughter in a venue. I was like, is that a comedy show? Maybe this comedy show will provide me some sort of reprieve from my life as a homeless man. Goes into the comedy show. Here's what I'm saying. And then it's just like, oh man, you're making my life worse. Boom! What the hell is wrong with you? I was already homeless. How dare you do this to me? The homeless man did that to me. What if I told you that is not even the worst part of this story? Here's the worst part of this story. Clap it up if you've ever gone to a music, art, or whatever type of concert or something like that, and the majority of the crowd was black. Not you black people, it's a quick question for everybody else. I had my thoughts about black people and everybody else. It's fine you have it, I'm just trying to paint a picture, right? Black people don't, maybe you notice is like, something that black people do that I love is like somebody sucks, instead of just being like, boo, you suck, get out of here, throwing tomatoes or whatever y'all do. What black people will do, I feel like it's the part where we will take out our keys and shake our keys at people in disgust. And it sounds terrible, and it is. But I've done it before. I remember being in college, one of the Morehouse College. I remember being me in college in 2000, I want to say 2005, and a young Chris Brown comes to perform at my college. No, this is 15-year-old Chris Brown. This is before he beat up anybody. He was cute. Everybody loved him. We're supposed to like him. He's an amazing dancer. That Chris Brown comes to my college. He's an amazing dancer, and everybody's loving him. And then all of a sudden, 16-year-old Chris Brown trips and falls ever so slightly. And then me and 1,000 other pretentious-ass 19-year-olds like, fuck this kid! Boom! Fuck your dreams! You are terrible! And we shook our keys at a young Chris Brown. So like every time he's on the news doing some terrible shit, I'm like, I might have something to do with that. You know what I mean? Like, that's how super villains are created. I did that to a child. I have to live with that. Here's the thing. I said to say, out of this Kevin Pants Jordan combination, this homeless dude produces a janitor's level amount of keys. You know, janitors have big ass rings with 1 million keys on it. Out of nowhere, he's like, I said I had enough of your bullshit, man. Get your fat ass on the goddamn stage. And that was very confusing because I was like, where the hell did you get all the goddamn keys from? Why do you have so many keys? Let me just say this is me, David Joseph Purdue, ever finds himself both homeless and with a whole bunch of keys. I promise you I'm not going to be homeless for a long period of time. I'm not. Every day I wake up with all those blessings in my pocket, I'm going to find a door or something that has a lock to open up to start my new life on the other side. I'm not going to waste my time booing a comedian while he's trying to live out his dreams, right? I felt like that was a bit much for him as a homeless man, and then I got upset at this dude, and I yelled back at a homeless man, hey man, you wasting goddamn time taking them keys at me, you didn't find something else up, bitch, is what I yelled. I yelled that at a homeless man. And that is when the rest of the crowd was like, yo, you right, homeless dude. Boom! This homeless dude's right, you're terrible! That's bad. That's bad. That's bad. Let me ask you this. Is it weird that I think about that homeless dude every day of my life? Every day of my life I wake up, I'm like, homeless dude. Every day of my life I think about that homeless dude. And not like, oh man, I hope he's not homeless anymore. No. I think about him like, man, like I just want him to be proud of me now. You know what I mean? Like I've accomplished things since then. I've been on TV. I mean, Oprah, my life has changed. You know what I mean? I'm better than what I was back then. I just want to put him on a better person. I do. I have a recurrent dream about this homeless dude. That's how much is in my brain. My recurrent dream is the same homeless man pushing that cart down the street. And he's pushing it down the street, and he pushes, it's still nothing in the cart in my dream, I don't give a shit. Yeah, my dreams keep going, I don't care about this dude. But in my dream, he's pushing that cart down the street, and he pushes it past like an old-time TV shop. You know those TV shops with the big-ass glass, a whole bunch of TVs on the shelves. You know what I mean? Where there's a bunch of shows going on, and he pushes it past that shop, and he stops. Because what he notices on one of those TVs is my little goofy-ass face doing something cool on TV. He just goes, God damn it, I knew he'd make it. And then, that's crazy, that's my recurring dream. What's weird, not even weird, it's probably true, it's like that dude, not to be like rude, but like that dude's probably for sure still homeless. Like we haven't solved the homeless problem, nor are we really trying to in this country, you know what I mean? So he's probably still homeless, but that dude lives rent-free in my head forever. And I just want to know, like, you got a space in my heart and my head, and I just want you to be proud of me, bro.
So, David, I have a question, just real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Just clarify. I've heard you tell me, you told me that before,
yeah.
That whole story, and I was like curious, because, like, was he pushing the cart when he sees the, you know, window full of TVs?
Yeah.
Is it like, did he push it back into like the 1950s? Like, do they still have those?
Listen, in my dream, for whatever reason, it was in black and white.
Okay. So segregation was still a thing.
Which was, honestly, it was very progressive with this dream, because he's on probably the nice part of town, pushing his grocery cart, nobody was bothering him. So maybe he was in some sort of Mayberry that I dreamed of. Andy Griffith is my favorite TV show.
That's what's up. I appreciate that clarification. Yeah. Give another round of applause for David. It's funny, like we go from Atlanta. Like I live off of like not too far from. I live in Midtown, off of like what is that, like Ponce and Juniper, right? Like near Fox Theater, right? And for those who don't know, there was like in Atlanta, there was this this center for the city that dealt with like those indigent without homes, without housing, and it was like right up the street, like Cortland and Pine area. And I used to so I lived at this spot, and I would get in my car, I'd be driving on Cortland, and like all of downtown Atlanta has like those 3 to 4 lanes all going one way. You know what I'm saying? It's very similar to like how we deal with our traffic or whatever. Like we just add another lane. Like they about to no public transportation, we just want to add another lane to that whole situation. And but it would be interesting because I'd be driving and there'd be the houses, people would be walking and they would just be walking. I'd want to go somewhere and they'd be in the way. And I would get upset, and I'd have to check myself because they had a very different relationship with the street, right? Because for me, that was a means to get somewhere. But for these people, this is where they were. There was no getting somewhere. They had a different relationship with that. So it got me thinking, and I ended up writing a little something dealing with those in our community who are without houses or without shelter. And I wrote this because I feel like Atlanta's really high on the list of a kind of an indigent population. And so it got me thinking about just how we view the least of these in our society. And those foxes have holes, birds have nests. The Son of Man has no place where he can rest. Foxes have holes, birds have nests. The Son of Man has no place where he can rest. Be as it may, home of the castaway, the city whispers, we fast and pray. A sinner's Saturday, the saints of the latter day. From the fabulous Fox Theater, we're like a block away. Cortland and Pine, where misfortunes align. The great disparity between your portion and mine. Such a morbid design, but of course with the time that passes, it has to start warping our minds. This familiar ugly, the foreign beauty. Amidst these red-lined neighborhoods, you'll find a ruby. There are hidden gems in plain sight in this vicious world. Rufus Wainwright, limboing the poverty line, your life can become a crime. Panhandle for dollar signs, feeding me can get you fined. Medicate with free base, dank, or some kind of wine. Missing rungs on that ladder to success that they want us to climb. I don't do handouts. I do not carry cash. I'll get you next time. This is all I have. All those declines to help, they ring hella hollow. A hungry belly with only pride to swallow. Pebbles on the street leave impressions on my cheek. Today's newspapers serve as tonight's bedsheet. I'm trying to make ends meet. I'm locked in a dead heat of survival, but yet I'm racing with these lead feet. But it is just as well. The streets of Pratt and Bell, prior to heaven, after hell, poverty's paradise, the vagrant Valhalla, somewhere between the Inshallah and the Our Father. The park is my kitchen, my living room's a bridge, my bed is a bench, and the trash can is my fridge. Midtown, 4th Ward, Southwest, too strong. You see, the scabs of the city have been picked at for too long. Foxes have holes, birds have nests. The Son of Man has no place where he can rest. Foxes have holes, and birds have nests. The Son of Man has no place where he can rest. The poverty-stricken and the inadequate, the indigent, the hapless, the penniless, the destitute. The only difference is these guys I'm now describing rock a tie and suit. I'm talking corporate camouflage, the 3-car garage, the McMansion expansion, the opulent mirage, the 5 bedrooms, the curb appeal, class struggle. The economy will commonly burst your housing bubble, the suburban sprawl. Gaudy high-rises, lock in that mortgage rate, for they increase the prices. Empty developments in vacant subdivisions, CeeLo told you that that gate could become a prison. Listen, nothing's wrong if you and yours want a lawn, but a castle can become a hassle if that's where your heart is drawn. A house is not a home. Let the government foreclose on you. It's so true. Ironically, a roof over your head can ironically expose you. Foxes have holes, and birds have nests. The Son of Man has no place where he can rest. Foxes have holes, birds have nests. The Son of Man has no place where he can rest, and it might not be such a bad idea if we never, ever, ever went home again. That was that piece right there.
Yeah!
Good. I thank you guys so much. It's interesting when we thought about doing this piece, doing this like show. This is the second show that we've done of this, and we were kind of like, oh, like we didn't know what we had that first time, right? And it was like turned out to not be terrible. So we said, let's try it again and see if like it's not terrible again, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's see what's up. And it's just so dope because like we felt so one at home here. So give a round of applause to Chase and. We wanted to do this though here, right? And we're really focused because I'm not originally from the South. How many people like born and raised in the South, like hands, all that? No. Okay. How many people? Like, I'm from the Midwest. Anybody else Midwesterners? Me? Okay. All right. There we go. Look at that. Yes. Salt of the earth. We are. Said that. But no. But I love the South. I've been adopted in that way, and honestly, so many of like our families, certainly Black people with great migration, a lot of us come from the South originally, and so it's interesting. Like when you go somewhere else, like people have very weird ideas of like what it's like to live in the South. Like they act like racism only exists in the South, like it's a bizarre thing. Like. I don't know. It's really fascinating, and as a result, there's a level of like dismissal that happens for like Southern opinions and Southern ideas in terms of like how sharp or smart or the culture that comes out of this like beautiful hodgepodge of the South. And obviously we are based in Atlanta, so I wrote a piece about Atlanta and about the South. And it deals with just like the uniqueness that you see here in this audience, right? Like we have gathered in this place, all unfamiliar and family, all disparate yet unified. This is an art church service invocation designed for you and I. This was written to the tune of Dirty South, to Goody Mob's Fly Away, to a midnight train to Georgia. This is a companion piece to Pearl Clay. Long before Andre 3000 told the crowd that the South has got something to say, you could hear our cries rise from deep within that red clay. This was produced by Kenny Leon, choreographed by T. Lang or Laura Stallings, captured on canvas by Fahamu. This city is a siren for the arts, and so many of us have answered its calling. This is all okra and sweet tea, banana pudding and peach tree. We provide the soundtrack to any function, even if that junction is spaghetti. Confederacy Memorial Mountains and mayors named Keisha, also a mayor named John strumming his guitar to an Eddie's attic bleachers, home of our king, preacher, teacher, thinker, dreamer, his remarkable civil rights legacy. We even Habitat for Humanity. I mean, we peanut farmer presidency. This was produced using a 30% film tax incentive. This is lemon pepper wedded, waffle housed at every exit. Home, this is for the forever inventive, the Busy Bees and Mary Max. Our content has been soaked in the cuisines of, Busy Bees and Mary Max and Miss Ann's Snack Bar, no counter leaning. This was produced during the 3-hour wait at Slutty Vegan. But see, when a city that is too busy to hate somehow finds the time. And when like gentrification is an act of violence and no one listens to the victims of the crime, where you can judge a society by how it treats its least, as it is often said, because I've seen stranger things here than The Walking Dead. We are a city experiencing growing pains. I'm talking growth and border shifts. We'll court like a major company like Amazon would be willing to like destroy a forest to headquarter it. But see, like try as they might, they can't condo our culture to death. They cannot beltline our brilliance. They cannot Marie Kondo our community. That is tidy up the homeless, the houseless for a Super Bowl and then leverage our current identity for some future soul. Hell no. This is ATL, ho. Home of the artisan and educator, the athlete, author, painter, innovator, culinary chef, curator, politician, preacher, grassroots activist, organizer, leader, scientist, celebrity, farmer, speaker. It is also home to those kids, I don't know if you've seen this, who are in uniforms at like stoplights and off-ramps, fundraising. This is for every Grady baby. This is for each one of us transplants. This is all Olympics 96. So Deaf billboards, LaFace Records, back when Apache Cafe was yin yang. Even then, my friend, we did the damn thing. Like his hat says, Atlanta truly influences everything. They branded it so you don't forget it. Because see, we focus on creating the culture, not the credit. It is embedded in the root. We do the work, they pluck the fruit, but the entire world knows where to go if and when they want the juice, the sauce. We are the dispatchers of the drip, the high priest of the hip. Whether behind the pen or the lens, they come to this place when they want that real shit. There is something, about this place that makes it safe for the creative endeavor. It honors and rewards the experimental. It honors the effort. We house Wonderlands and Hollyweirds and Cities of Ink and Stanconias. We're not at all New York. We're not quite California. We are south of the north, but yet north of the south. We are a city out of nowhere that is everywhere. Just look around. Our DNA has made its way to every nook, cranny, corner, marketing meeting, boardroom, billboard, and block. We've been had something to say. And they've been
like I said, he's not born and raised. I'm born and raised here. We figure out there's a couple of people born and raised in the South. I always like to tell people, this is how Southern I am. I'm not like the South shall rise again Southern. You know what I mean? I'm more like I think Outkast is the greatest group of all time in Southern. You know what I mean? Like there's levels to this shit, right? I do love performing in the South. I get to perform around Southern. It's my favorite type of people to perform. Just because like everybody takes a chance, and we're familiar with people. Like when I go out west, and people are like, I'm in a Pueblo before, and people are like, aren't you so happy to be in this progressive place like Pueblo? And I'm like, no, because y'all don't got no black people. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't brag about some shit that you haven't. You know what I mean? Like people like to shit on the South, but like, let's be real. Since we're all Southerners here for the most part, there's some things to shit over. I performed in Savannah, Georgia before. You ever been to Savannah? Yeah. So if you ever driven to, you drove driven, you're flying. Good for you. You're doing well. But most of us have to drive to Savannah, right? And like, if you know that drive to Savannah, like if you go down that highway, you gotta pass at least, 8-9 million Confederate flags. And that's very unsettling if you're driving there, especially if you're a comedian and you're just trying to live your dreams. Like, I don't know if I want to drink that bad. I just remember one time I was performing in Savannah, and I was at the venue, and I noticed they paid me up front, which was cool. But after they paid me, I noticed that in the venue was right behind me was gonna be this big ass Confederate flag the whole time that I was gonna be on stage, and that was very unsettling. But I was like, shit, I already got this money, so I'm about to go ahead, keep it going, right? But I was hungry from the drive. I was very tired and hungry from the drive, and I did this thing that normally I don't do, but I was like, let me just try to eat the food here. You know what I mean? Like, let me try, right? And so I made a very ambitious choice, and I ordered macaroni and cheese from this establishment. I know that's what I ordered. I looked at it, I read it, I said, I can eat macaroni and cheese here, right? But what they served me was a hate crime and styrofoam bowl. It was the worst. It was the worst shit I've ever seen in my life. It was like. Talk about this shit. This is terrible, right? But it got me thinking, right? Because most of the people that hate Confederate flags, and they're very proud of it. You know, the main thing that they say when they have Confederate flags is, listen, man, terrorists, not hate, right? And I would be inclined to believe this, right? Sure, if you want to say that, say it. But just know this. If you're gonna say this whole culture is heritage, not hate, your heritage has got to extend to your macaroni and cheese. Don't serve me no